Food is fuel for your body, your mind, and definitely your sport. But let's face it, nutrition is confusing, and the expectations on girls and women to be thin and have a six-pack are exhausting. If you've ever been frustrated with your body, confused about nutrition, obsessed with eating healthy, or guilty when you don't, underate, overate, or overtrained, and overwhelmed with all the pressure, then this podcast is for you. Nutrition can be easy. You can take control of it, but it might start with letting go of control by asking for help and making a change. I'm Lindsay Elizabeth Cortez, sports dietitian and owner of Rise Up Nutrition, where I empower female athletes to overcome nutrition concerns and perform at their highest level, to stop being confused by all the mixed or harmful messages, and finally have confidence in your body as a fierce, fit, and fueled female athlete. Well, hi, fans. Welcome back to another episode of the Female Athlete Nutrition Podcast. I'm here with Chari Hawkins, who is a Team USA heptathlete and USA bronze medalist. In the heptathlon, if for any reason you're not familiar, there are 7 events: hurdles, high jump, shot put, 200-meter run, long jump, javelin, and the 800-meter run. So Chari does it all. Now, of course, she's part of Team USA. In her past, she went to Utah State University, where she was highly accomplished there as an NCAA D1 student athlete, a 5-time All-American. Like I mentioned, a 2-time USA bronze medalist. She's competed in the World Championships as well. And Chari has, I think, a lot to discuss with us today about fueling, body image, and just being a rock star female athlete. So thank you so much, Chari, for finding the time in your busy schedule to do this.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to get into it.
Yes, me too. So let's jump right into it. I always like to kind of start off with your athletic career. What got you into track and field to begin with? And at what point did you decide on the heptathlon?
Actually, my family has been really athletic my whole life. My dad was a basketball coach, so I grew up playing basketball from the time I was, 2 years old. And I'm the youngest of 5. So I have 2 older sisters and 2 older brothers. And while all of my siblings grew up playing other sports, I was in the stands watching, but more importantly, learning. I've always been like a really big observer. So I've always been somebody who's been like, I could do that. When they're doing something, I'm always like, I could do that. And I would always, visualize, like, my sister was a setter, and I'd always be like, oh, like, she needed to do this instead. And I would always practice it on my own time. And I was just always really interested in, like, honestly, sports and movement and all that kind of stuff. I was always really interested in it. But I didn't get involved in track until I was in 8th grade. In 7th grade, because in 6th grade, everybody did kind of just track for fun. They did mostly cross. It was like a hybrid between cross country and track, because we weren't really big competitors of it yet. And I thought it was so dumb. Like, why are you all running? Like, this is so embarrassing and so annoying. Like, who wants to just, like, go on runs? And they'd be like, oh, like, we went and ran like 3 miles. And I was like, oh, that sounds horrible. And yeah, running is dumb. And I don't understand why people want to do it. Like, that was legit my attitude when I was young.
I think a lot of people have that attitude when they're younger. And yeah.
Especially because I grew up like the only running we should do is up and down a basketball court or up and down like a field or anything like that. Like, that's where running comes into play. But running just to run made no sense to me. And however, all of my friends joined except for me, and they would always talk about it the next day at school. They talk about their runs, they talk about their meets, they talk about like all of the things that they did. And I think just a little part of me just had a little bit of FOMO.
Totally.
So in 7th grade, it was like very strictly like cross country here, track here. And I just didn't want to miss out. So I decided, I played volleyball during the cross country season, so I didn't have to worry about that. But when it came to track season, I was like, all right, I'll do it, And that's when I learned that you can do more things than just running around in circles like a bunch of times. And so I joined with high jump and hurdle. I didn't join hurdles yet. I joined with high jump and long jump. And I was like, oh yeah, like this is right up my alley. And it was really fun. I kept going. When I was a freshman, they put me in hurdles, and then the rest was kind of history. I did high jump, long jump, and hurdles, and those are 3 of the events in the heptathlon. So I was recruited for the heptathlon in
Yeah,
college.
typically once you can do 3, then it's like, okay, now you'll do 7.
Yeah, well, especially because the 3 that I chose were like 3 that are a little bit trickier to learn. And I won state in all 3 of those events. And so it was like, oh, okay, like you can do these well. And so now there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you're sharing your reason for joining was really for social reasons, because I think that is a really important reason for girls to do high school sports. And, competition is awesome and being athletic is awesome, but also being a part of something and just hanging out with friends and making memories and being a part of a team and setting goals, like that is such a great reason to join high school sports.
Yeah, it's so interesting how we really look back and we see the effect that being in a sport does for us. It allows us to be able to have camaraderie and all that kind of stuff in the social aspect. And then you realize it allows you to have like this fighting spirit that you may have, might not have ever had. I mean, I was the youngest of 5. So a lot of people would think that that would make me like really competitive. But actually, I mean, I have no problem losing at games because as the youngest,
you lost a lot.
I would rather lose than like deal with the wrath of my family for them losing. Like I'm like, you know what? I'll go ahead and lose. I was never like a super competitive person. And so I think being in sport has really allowed me to have like that little competition, because competition is fun. It can be super nerve wracking, but it really is like so fun, especially if you're in competition with yourself. You're continuously getting better every day and finding that thing that makes you happy and find joy and get better and improve. And it's aha moments after aha moments. And those are so exciting. So I think it's really cool how sports can really bring you to that next level.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, and that's one of the reasons I stay in it, even though I'm by nowhere near, I don't even want to even compare because I'm nowhere near the level that you are, but it's like, it just brings out a part of your personality, a part of you that's fun. It keeps it fun to stay a part of sport as in competition as long as you can. So I'm right there with you. Yeah. So I think there's a lot that we can get into and talk about with your nutrition. But, one thing that you shared with me and I'd love to dig into on this podcast is that there was a time in your life where you really struggled with anorexia, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Food was such an interesting part of my life because it started off so whatever. I was actually probably, my dad would say, he still says, I can't believe how much Chari eats. And that was how I always was. I was always just a machine when it came to food. I still am, but there was this space where I remember I had 2 really amazing friends, and they were like the really cute girls in school, and they were so kind, but they were just like very beautiful girls. And they would always try to make me feel really good because I was a late bloomer, and they would just be like, oh, but Chari, like you're so like thin, you're so skinny, like I wish. And this was way back in the day where fit is now better, like, oh, you're so fit, but it used to be thin, it used to be skinny. I wish I was skinny like you, kind of a thing. So I thought in my little teeny cute adorable little brain that skinny equaled acceptance, and the skinnier I was, the more accepted I was going to be. And that was my job. Like I didn't have the looks, so I was going to in turn have the body. Like that's what I could control. And I didn't feel out of control in any aspect other than I just thought, I mean, my friends just thought they were giving me cute compliments, and they probably thought I was naturally thin, and which I was like a pretty naturally thin person, but I was like, I can get thinner. Like if you like that I'm thin, like I'll get thin for sure. And so I remember there was a trophy case in school that I would walk by every day. And I always wore like tighter, like short sleeve tight shirts. And I would look just really quickly in the trophy case, and I would look for my rib. And if I could see my rib through the shirt, good day. If I couldn't, like I would be like, okay, like how can I fix this? Like how can I fix it? It was really rough because, I learned through sports something that was incredibly valuable to me. And that was that I was taking my body as a statue that you see in a museum that's like really beautiful to look at. And we're here to look at that thing. But we forget that that thing is inanimate and it doesn't move, and it just sits there and doesn't do anything. Like, that's all it does. It's all it offers is you can sit and you can look at it. But as human beings, like as like an athlete, as a human in general, like I move every day. I get up, I move, I have energy, I have thoughts, I have creativity, I have like running and jumping and throwing like in my life all the time. And that doesn't make me a statue. That actually makes me a machine. And so I had to switch me being a statue into me being a machine. And machines don't run off of nothing. Machines run off of fuel, but the proper fuel, enough fuel. I mean, cars don't go very good if you don't change their oil. They break down. And if you don't put the right oil, they don't get really mucky and you have issues. And if you don't put gasoline to fuel the machine, if you don't put the right amount of gasoline or the right kind of gasoline for your engine, it's not going to do well. And that analogy like really kind of sparked something inside of me. And it was mostly because I was losing in track. I wasn't doing well. And I realized that if I wanted to win and I wanted to start improving, I needed to take care of the machine, because the machine was going to be the thing that was getting me through. So I really worked hard into changing that mindset from look at my body to let's see what my body can do.
Oh, I love it.
And that was a big reason for me to kind of just like slip out, because a lot of times, I mean, having unhealthy relationships with food, it's not as simple as, oh, wow, like what a great thought that I had and now it's over. I mean, it was years of me consciously being like, which one would you rather though? Can you have both? Can you energize your body so well that and that you're able to work it harder, and so you're able to achieve the aesthetic that you're looking for while still being fully healthy? Like, can you have both? How much do you want both? Like, do you like, because you can't. Do you know what I can't do? I can't go all day without eating and then expect to have a good practice the next day. You know what I mean? If I want to have, you know what? I don't really worry about the aesthetic when I think of my body anymore. I always worry about how strong it is. How much weight do I think I could lift right now? Or how fast do I think I can get over a hurdle right now? And it just changes everything, because it allows me to go from point A to point B instead of just sitting there and being a nice looking car. A nice looking car, I could look as nice as I want in a uniform. It's not going to get me on a medal podium, right?
No.
What the body can actually do is going to be the thing that gets me there.
Yeah, absolutely. And being that I'm married to a car enthusiast, even the nice looking cars, it really matters how fast they go. So, it's the same thing. So I absolutely love, there's so many gold nuggets that you just said, Chari. The first thing, going back to like how when you kind of started down this path, that you felt that being skinny meant accepted. And I think obviously you've come a long way since that. And we know that that's not the truth. But I think it's something for other people to reflect on with their own thoughts about like, why do we need this approval from other people, or, this acceptance, or who are we looking to get it from? And I think you highlighted something really important, which was that you were young and your friends were innocent. They didn't mean for any of that. So it's just like, we really have to do some deep reflection on like, who am I trying to be accepted by? And maybe who really needs to accept me is me. And I think where you found in sport that what really brought you joy and happiness was if you were good at your sport, you could, that made you feel more fulfilled to be a part of something and compete and do something with your body. That's more of the self-love that you were really wanting and what was really healthy for you too.
Yeah. And I think that a big distinction that also needs to be made when it comes to my sport is the fact that and this was something I had to learn kind of the hard way too, through a lot of performance anxieties, because I did start to take one addiction and bring it into another. And I decided that, okay, well, maybe my acceptance isn't going to be coming from the way my body looks, but maybe it'll come from my performance. And so I started putting a lot of my value as a human being on my performance. And I think sometimes like as humans, we need to take like a deep breath. And we need to say, I deserve acceptance because I do. I don't need to do anything. I don't have to make $1. I don't need to even one medal. I don't need to even win one race. I don't need to look a specific type of way. I don't need to do a specific type of thing. As long as I am human and I act human and I allow myself to be imperfect and perfect in the ways that I already am, I deserve to be accepted. And like point blank, that's like the biggest thing for me moving forward, was just to allow myself to be okay the way that I was and not feel like I needed, and being willing to like improve still. Like I'm still allowed to improve. I'm still allowed to get better, but I don't need it in order for me to be 100% successful as a human being in value.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think you just made everybody listening just feel so good. Because I know I feel just like more at peace right now after hearing you kind of say all of that. And it's just, it is the truth, right? I think highlighting just the concern that sometimes like, yeah, one, I don't know if you use the word addiction, but like one thing kind of transfers over to another. So where it was like, seeking acceptance with how you looked, then it was acceptance with how you performed. And there comes a point where it's just like, no, acceptance. I just need to accept myself no matter what. And yeah, absolutely. So, another thing you were really saying and hitting on before is just the fueling aspect of fueling the machine, which is such a good mindset that you tapped into. Definitely one that I promote and encourage as a sports dietitian, is to fuel your body for what you want it to do. And it's just so amazing. I feel like you really started glowing and you lit up when you were like, I move, I jump, I throw, and it is so good to pause and take a moment and think about everything that your body does. And sometimes our bodies do amazing things like win bronze medals. And sometimes our bodies do this amazing thing like get out of bed and stay alive for 24 hours continuously and breathe. All the little things that we do are just amazing too. And I think when you can kind of like be amazed at the human body, then you have a lot more respect for it. And like you want to nourish it and you want to fuel it,
Yeah. It's so interesting. It's just like so crazy how you really can step from within one mindset to another and have it just change everything. The way that you think about it is really difficult for me, even, to step outside of my body and judge it and compare it. That is a real thing. It's not imaginary, and it's not just me that has that issue. It's a human thing to do. And it is really incredible to know that there is the possibility to say, okay, come back. What do I want to do? I want to, and then whatever your goals are, how can I do that and feel super healthy at the same time? Because a lot of us, a lot of people, they want to lose weight, or they want to whatever they want to do, but there are ways to train for in an Olympic circuit very unhealthily, doing way overtrain, way undernutrient yourself, beat yourself up. And there's a lot of unhealthy ways to do it, but how can you do it in a way that's healthy and allowing yourself to be excited to get your goal, right? Excited to be in your body, be excited to say like, what can I do next? I'm kind of incredible. Like, what else can I do? And that's an actual mindset that you can get into. Actually, it's a mindset I've been like searching to recreate, because I feel like it's been something that I would get and I'd be like, oh, I figured it out. I got it. And then I'd lose it. And I'd be like, oh, where did it go? And I'd be like, I'm all anxious. And I'm like, I swear I just had it. Like, where was it? Like 2 weeks ago, I was just like motivated, bouncing off the walls. And then I would randomly just find it. And I'm like, wow, like that was the best practice I ever had. And I'm just like amazing. And the next day I'm just like, can't even get out of bed. And it happens, and it's hard to figure it out. And actually, it's next, I think it's going to be in March is when we're going to release it, hopefully in March. But I have come up with talking to like a lot of sports psychologists, I've had so many coaches from around the world, and then my own 15 years of experience. I've kind of come up with a lot of tips, tricks, tools that I am planning on sharing in a program called 30 Days with Chari, and it's super exciting. The whole point is just for me to tell you, I mean, I'm sharing like little tiny tips and tricks now with you, like that of like energy and excitement and how to get, your mindset to shift and all that kind of stuff. And not everything works for everybody. Like there are probably some listeners that I have given this insane aha moment to that has just made them so excited, but they're going to apply it for a couple days and then they're going to be like, oh man, I don't know if that was the thing for me. And the great thing is I have 30 different ones that I'm going to give you for 30 days. I'm going to teach you how to apply them. I'm going to tell you what they are, and then I'm going to allow you to practice them on your own, and then give them to you so you can find your favorite one or your favorite few. A lot of times when I get through and I'm at practice, I get like really nervous, really scared, and I'm like stressed and I'm doubtful. And I'm like, what? Where did this come from? I was just having a great morning. Like what was I take a deep breath and I start going down the line of my favorite tools, and I find one until I find one that works. And then sometimes that same one works one day and doesn't work another day. So I just keep going down the line. What are my tools in my toolbox? How do I get it? How do I fix it? What tool is going to be used to fix this thing in the gear? That kind of thing. And so I've been working so hard. I've been really putting my heart and soul into it. So I'm really excited for it to come to fruition soon. So I'm really excited about that.
Oh, I can tell too. I'm super excited for this as well. And I can tell that your heart is in it. So it's going to be good when you have as much passion about this topic as you do. So I can't wait for it. We'll be sure to how do we stay updated? Do we follow you on social media? Do you have like an email listserv so we know when it comes out?
Yeah, hopefully within the next month, we're going to be doing I'll have like a pre-register kind of a thing so that when it comes out, boom, you can be part of it and all that kind of stuff. But so far, like right now with social media, this is probably the second, I go live every once in a while, and I'll tell my people on live about it because I'm like, it's still kind of a secret. You guys don't know about it. So this is one of the first places that I have really like announced it.
Oh, I feel honored.
I talked about it a little bit at other places, but I'm really excited about it, and I'm working really hard on it, and every time that I write a new episode, it lights me up because I'm like, oh yes, I remember when I learned this tool, and it just made all the difference in the world in this way, and this way. Here's how you apply it. Here's a practice to do it, and then let me solidify it into your brain so that you have it forever, kind of a thing. So I'm really excited. It's going to be a really fun program. So stay tuned for that, and we'll have a lot of fun training our mind and getting from a place. I will let you know that, especially when it came to my performance anxiety, it's interesting because with my eating disorder, I wasn't really that interested in getting rid of it. I'll be honest. I wasn't really like, oh man, like, why do I feel this way? Later in life, when I would have those tendencies come back to me, I'd be like, oh, this is so annoying. Why do I feel like this from food? Why can't I just have a healthy relationship with food? But in the moment, like when I was really deep into it, 60 pounds at 5'6", I didn't care to change anything until I changed my mindset with I actually like to win, and I'm not strong enough to win. So I need to start fueling my body better. But when it came to my anxiety, especially my performance anxiety, I feel like I searched and searched and searched and searched, and I could not figure out why I couldn't control my brain. And I had realized that I just like wasn't mindful enough about it. And I didn't have the right tools in my toolbox. And once learning them, you fall back in love with your sport, because when you have serious anxiety around something, you forget how much you love it and you actually hate it. You're like, oh yeah, I hate this. Why am I still here? How have I not retired yet? Like, what's going on? Like, this is not even fun. And now I do it and I just get excited. I am thrilled. Then every once in a while, that feeling will hit me for just a second, and I come back to my tools. I go down the line. I figure it out. Once I figure it out, there's like this amazing feeling that overcomes me. Like, I did it, And so I'm just so excited. I'm so excited to teach my community everything, because it made me fall back in love with my sport. And I'm really excited to allow people to fall back in love with their sport or their life or whatever. Honestly, every lesson learned on the track can be applied off the track as well.
Okay, fans, I'm going to pause this conversation to let you ladies know about the Rise Up Nutrition Coaching Program. We have a lot of ways that we can help clients here at Rise Up Nutrition, and this is one of 2 amazing opportunities to get the direct help you need. With our team of sports dietitians, this program helps adult female athletes fuel to perform without strict dieting. How good does that sound? Finally, you will understand nutrition for day-to-day training, eat intuitively with foods that you love, and be race day or competition day ready with energy and confidence. We have more details about what's included and how we can help on our website, riseupnutritionrun.com/group coaching. Links are in the show notes. But I quickly want to share what a few of our clients have said about their experiences in this program so far. Sophie, a trail runner, says, quote, "I really encourage anyone who has struggled with eating and lives an active lifestyle to consider this program, because it's so hard to know if you're fueling properly without someone on the outside looking in from an objective point of view. I now feel confident in my food choices and more than anything, confident that I can actually eat more and that it will only benefit my health and my training." Sarah, another one of our clients and triathlete, says, quote, "For anyone that is struggling with diet culture, a history of disordered eating, and is trying to learn how to eat and fuel, this is a program they should strongly consider. I've been active my whole life and trying to fit a mainstream diet has never worked. In fact, it's created more problems than good. Working with Rise Up Nutrition has made things very simple." So again, if you are an adult female athlete that wants to perform better without strict dieting, click that link in our show notes to apply to the Rise Up Nutrition Coaching Program, and we would be thrilled to have you join us. Until then, we will get back to the conversation. Yeah, I love that. I think too, the way that you've done so much soul searching, I think, and work on yourself, and you're in such a good place now. And that's when you know it's time to share this with other people, when it's like, I think you said already, it's like been 15 years of you going down this path of figuring out all. And you know what else I love that you said, Chari, is that, if one thing doesn't work, it doesn't mean that your brain is just screwed up and that's it. It's finding all these tools in your toolbox, because I think in recent years, there's been like this kick and push for like meditation, I feel like, which is really cool. And I actually am a meditator. So like, I love that, but I almost hate admitting that to people, to say that I meditate, because then there's other people that are like, I could never do that, and it's like, this is not the only thing, and it's certainly not the only thing to have not just a peaceful mind, but like just a confident mind or secure mind or reduced anxiety. There's so many other things you can do. And it's just about finding the one that works for you. And I also love how you said, maybe it's that you actually need all 30 things or 50 things, and it's just which one on which day. So I think this is really good, because as somebody who actually does meditate, and I like always get embarrassed telling people that, because like people think that's too much effort, and it kind of actually was, I'll admit. It was like a 10-year journey for me to actually say like, I meditate. And so that's like probably not the easiest thing for people to do, but there's so many other things you could do.
Oh, totally. I mean, the thing is with 30 Days with Chari, my husband is not really, I am a very like, give me all the things that people would be like, oh, okay. Like, I mean, people call they call it meditation, they call it hypnosis, but and it's like hypnosis, you're kind of like, okay, what are you doing? But you can also call it mental training, you know what I mean? And like, it's so much more digestible to, the bigger crowd. So my husband's always just like, all right, well, because he's not super like woo woo, and I so am. I love all of anything that you can help me train my brain. I am here for it 100%. And so he's like, how can you make this as digestible as you can to everyone? And I'm like, the way that I'm going to do it is we are training our brains, because it's our brains are a muscle that we can control, we can train, and I'm going to show you how.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of training your brain, just like you would train a muscle, I mean, for you as a competitive athlete, this is a huge part of your performance. For you to compete at such a high level, training your brain is probably equally, maybe if not more, I don't know what you would say about that, as important as training your muscles in the events that you do and everything.
Yeah, I would say it's so much more important. I mean, I think that we just forget about it because we are so focused on training our bodies. but our bodies are really respondent to our minds. Our bodies respond really well. I mean, if our brain is in the mood to clean the house, our bodies are going to clean the house. If our bodies are feeling great, but our brain is like, I just want to sit here. Like, even if we feel fine, our body's gonna be like, yeah, you know what? It's good for me to just sit here and do nothing. I mean, our mind can let our body know exactly where it wants to go.
Yeah, I really like how you just painted that picture there. That makes so much sense, because I think we've had it both ways, but I've definitely been one. It's actually funny. I'll just share where I'm at personally in life. I have a baby that's just 6 weeks old right now. And so, yeah, husband's watching him right now. So no screams in the background. I don't think he's napping. But something I've been feeling just in the last 6 weeks actually is like, physically, just more recently, I'm like, physically, I have energy and I'm like kind of ready to do something, but mentally I'm drained and exhausted because it's been such a life change and like an overhaul. And so like mentally, I don't want to like push my body physically, even though like I feel strong, which is good. I'm happy that I feel physically strong. But I had that realization just the other day. I was expressing it that I was like, physically, I feel good, but mentally, like I just need to keep taking it easy on myself. Like I don't want to push myself physically right now. And so I like how you just painted that picture of the cleaning the house example, because it's basically how I was feeling. Didn't want to clean the house.
Yeah, it is so insane. But even when we're not feeling well, like if we're feeling like sick or if we're feeling really tired or we're really sore or whatever, our brains, we can consciously change exactly how we feel. And it's going to be met with a little bit of resistance, but we can still do it. And I think that that's what's so important about like the program is it's not just me giving you the tools, but it's me actually allowing you to be able to train your mind to do it. Because if you train for a marathon, you're going to run a better marathon than if somebody just tells you, hey, step 1, run. Step 2, keep running and don't stop until you hit 26.2 miles or whatever. That's how I feel like a lot of mental training is going for a lot of people, is people are like, oh, you need to mentally train yourself. And people are like, okay, what does that mean? And they'll do things like create a vision board and they'll do things like visualize. And those are really important. But that's just like saying, hey, go on a couple mile run and then get ready for a marathon, when really there's an actual training program that you can do that's going to allow you to get physical fitness. And I think that something about what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help you gain mental fitness. And so I think that's like the thing that's kind of like really exciting.
Yeah, super exciting, Chari. So I could keep talking about this forever with you, but I kind of want to shift gears if I can and tap into a little bit more. We already talked with your nutrition, but a little bit more of your like sports nutrition, because I feel like as a heptathlete, there's a lot that goes into this with fueling your body for 7 events, and very often over the course of 2 days when you in track meets just are really, really long. Do you have any tips or tricks of things that have really worked for you when it comes to your actual like performance nutrition, or things that, you frequently do on competition day?
So for competition day, I like to eat basically the same thing every time. I just have like a little regimen of like when I eat it, why I eat it. And it gets me just kind of in because nobody likes to eat on competition day. We're all so nervous that we're like, please, and you just have to. But if you allow yourself to have a meal plan in place where you know you're going to be eating X, Y, and Z, and this is what you need, and this is what is going to help you get through, then it doesn't become. I think a lot of people, especially when it comes to sport, we forget that food is delicious, and so we eat. We get excited to eat. But when we're nervous, we're not excited to eat. It's just like, oh, I'm not hungry because I don't want to eat this. It's just like, no, you're just nervous and you need your fuel. So my biggest thing is ignore your nerves, ignore like if you're hungry or not, and make a plan before. A. B, this is a personal ouch that I got, is I have a little bit of like obsessiveness when it comes to everything I do. Surprise, surprise. And I one time drank, like I was really hydrated, but I didn't get the electrolytes that I needed. And so what happened was I started cramping up a lot in one of my competitions. So I was like, I have to get electrolytes. So I bought like a 6-pack of Pedialyte, like in the little sticks. And then I I drank every single one of them the night before my competition. So I gave myself zinc poisoning.
Oh my God.
And not only did I cramp up, but my calves, my forearms, my biceps, my glutes, my quads, if you touched, they were like rocks. And because it's one thing like, hey, it's been a couple competitions, you're getting tired and now you're cramping. No, I went to go start my warm up. My first step of my warm up, cramp, everything cramped up. So my team, like this was when I was in the Pan Am games. And so they brought like a couple of people on the USA team to be able to help the athletes. And so I let them know what happened. So they're like, just drink water. You got to try to flush all that zinc out of you. Like drink. So I was just like chugging water as much as I could to try to strip those electrolytes that I had way over consumed. And I didn't get any warm up for any of my events because I was just trying so hard to drink water. I barely made it through. Like truly, my 200 at the end of the day, I was cramping up the entire time. And I was devastated because I was so mentally and physically ready to do well, but I just overdid it. And so my physical therapists and nutritionists and stuff that I have always said, just a quarter of your water should be electrolytes to replenish. So I would say that before, personally, this is what I would say. Before you compete, the day before, just drink water in like a normal way. Don't do anything so wild that like you've never done before that's going to send your body into shock or anything like that. Just do like your normal intake of water, like try to stay as hydrated as you can. And then the next day, use a quarter of your liquids that you consume to have them be electrolytes so that you can replenish all of the things that you lost throughout the competition during your day. That's a pretty good basic rule of thumb so that you're hydrated. You're not going to overdo it because a lot of people, we just don't know. We don't know how much. And if you don't know.
Yeah, and I think hydration is like pushed so much, especially in our spring and summer sports. And it's important because dehydration is terrible too, but you can overdo it both with the water and with the electrolytes. You can totally overdo it. Thank you for sharing all of that, but especially I think like there's a supplement safety issue and we can go down that path and everything with being careful about what supplements you're putting in your body. But then there is that bit of like, oh, it's Pedialyte, it's a food, it's an electrolyte, it's not a big deal, but you can still overdo these things. Absolutely. So I'm so sorry that happened to you, but thank you for sharing that with other people.
You know what's so wild is there have been like a couple competitions where I really believe in myself, and I'm like, I remember the day before, my roommate, she was just like the cutest thing. And she was just like, I'm not going to lie, this has been a really long season for me. And I'm just kind of ready to be like, done. And I was like, I was like, look me in my eyes. I was like, I am about to crush this. And I was like, I have never been more prepared. And she was just laughing her head off. And I was like, I am serious. Like, I have never been more prepared for me in my whole life. Like I am. And then I just way too much. And the thing is a lot of times, I mean, that was in 2018. And a lot of times you just don't know what you don't know. I did not know that you could overdo it on electrolytes. I thought that like you could overdo it on water if you stripped your electrolytes. I did not know.
Which is also true, but you can do both.
Yeah. But I just didn't know. And had I known, I wouldn't have done that. Right. So I actually have a question for you.
Sure.
What are some, as like a performance dietitian or sports dietitian, what are some like supplements? You were talking about supplements. What are some supplements that you think are like absolutely incredible for performance?
Well, I really believe in the power of food. So I really think that you can get everything through food, but there are a few supplements that I recommend to most of my athletes and clients. One of them being vitamin D. Now, we can make that from the sun and depending on where you live, and we can get that through some food. But performance-wise, we're seeing that higher intakes and higher blood levels of vitamin D is really helpful because vitamin D actually functions in your body like a hormone. So when we think about other hormones that have a huge role in performance, like muscle development, vitamin D actually does as well. So we see people with blood biomarkers in vitamin D that are slightly higher, like more in the 50 to 60 range, are having like faster sprint times, jump higher, jump further. So you do want to make sure you want to test your blood marker for that. And then if needed, take a vitamin D supplement. So I'm really encourage those vitamin D supplements a lot. The next one would be a good like omega-3, whether it's coming from fish oil or another source, because it's just anti-inflammatory. And with performance, you just have higher levels of inflammation. Again, you can get this through food, but it's a pretty safe one to take. You might want to be mindful of especially if it's fish oil, where that fish oil is being sourced from the fish, because there is such thing as like mercury adding up in that. So again, if you're supplementing smart with a good brand and appropriate dose, like 1 to 2 grams a day, that's another one that I recommend quite a bit for reducing inflammation in athletes and helping with performance. And then we think about some other ones. I will go so far to say creatine, because this is more of like an actual like supplement as opposed to just a vitamin or a nutrient. Creatine is, this just been proven like over and over and over again. It really does work when you're using it appropriately.
And hydrating while you're using it.
Absolutely. So if you're using it appropriately, and it does have to match up with an appropriate training plan as well. Like if you're just taking creatine, but you're not training, then you're not just going to build muscle. There's really interestingly, so the reason for creatine would be to build more muscle, therefore get bigger, faster, stronger. But there's some other research nowadays with some other benefits of creatine for some other contact sports where like concussions are a risk, or football or hockey, that creatine can actually be protective against the amount of damage done in our brain when we have brain injuries, concussions, or even subconcussive head traumas, which are really, really common in a multitude of sports. I think like cheerleaders should be taking it just in case they get drugged. Pole vaulters should be taking it. Yes. So I think that's probably, those are my top 3 for sure. A little calcium could be good, maybe for the right person, beta alanine, but those are going to be my top 3 that I would recommend.
No, I love it. I actually, I didn't really say creatine, but the first 2 are one of my top 2 recommended supplements. So I was really glad. I just always like to ask, because there's always new studies going on, and some people, you don't know what you don't know. So some people learn new things that somebody else hasn't read, or somebody else hasn't learned, and things always change and grow. And I always am so curious to learn. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I feel like I'm going to throw one more in there just for the sake of the audience, like iron, but don't supplement with iron blindly. Get your blood work done. Eat iron foods. And then if needed, that can be, because if you are iron deficient, it's way too hard to perform with iron deficiency. So.
Oh, my mom had a problem with iron deficiency when I was growing up in high school, and she thought, she kept being like, "Am I depressed? Like, what is going on?" And she would just come home and sleep. She would come home from work, she would sleep until like 7 p.m. Then she would get up, dinner, and then go back to sleep for weeks. And she had no idea what was going on, and it turned out she was very anemic. So
yeah, that's an important one too. But just like your Pedialyte story, don't supplement with iron blindly, because it can become toxic pretty quickly if you don't need it. It builds up in our liver. So it's pretty rare, especially because so many female athletes struggle with iron, but still, do it the right way.
You'll also, in my mind, my experience, because you know how you said like don't do it blindly, because a lot of people, when my mom became anemic, like I went to college next year and I was like, I have to take iron. Like I need iron. And I started taking iron. Like it'll be evident in like the way your body digests and stuff like that. Like, I don't need this. This is causing, you know what I mean? It'll be evident pretty quickly. So yeah, just be careful with that one for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to a dietitian.
Yeah, RD all day.
Yeah. Which actually, that's another question I have for you. So I think you mentioned it earlier. You do have a nutritionist. Is that through Team USA, the dietitians that they have, or do you kind of have your own, or just support that you get in that department?
Yeah, so I work with an MD that also does like food science and stuff like that. And he does like my blood work and all that kind of stuff. But I love talking to registered dietitians and getting their point of view. And I feel like honestly, the biggest takeaway I always hear is like food is best kind of a thing. So
yeah. Yeah, that's what I started. Well, yeah, I mean, that is what our degree is in. It's in food. So we're going to, and that's where all these supplements come from, right? It comes from food. So it's got to be the answer.
Yeah, they're called supplements, not replacements, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. So, Chari, this has just been an awesome conversation. Thank you so much for everything you've shared with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I have a few more final questions, just kind of some fun questions to finish this off. If there was one food that you could eat every single day for the rest of your life and never get sick of it, what would that be?
Oh my gosh. I would say tacos. I love them.
It's awesome.
It used to be sandwiches, but I think it's tacos because you can have hard shell, soft shell, fish, chicken, steak. Like it's too versatile. So it's just like, oh yeah, that's the vibe. Yeah, for sure.
And so I've been living in San Antonio, Texas for almost 3 years now, but I'm originally from New England. And so I will say that San Antonio introduced me to a whole new world of tacos. I thought I knew what a taco was until I lived here. Now I know what a taco is.
So. Yeah, that was me moving to Southern California for sure. It definitely, opened my
changes
eyes.
The game.
Mm-hmm.
So next question, what is your favorite sport to participate in?
I think volleyball. I love volleyball so much. It's so fun. And I was a setter too, so I felt like every time there was like an incredible kill or something, it was me too. Like it was like, it was just like so fun.
Yeah, so much fun. I love that. And how about as a spectator? What's your favorite spectator sport?
Oh man, you know what? I get super excited about, I think football's actually really a fun sport to watch when you get to know, the rules. And I feel like I used to be like, oh my gosh, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But like once you really understand like the sport, you understand everything. Like it is like, it's pretty fun. Live spectator, I would probably have to say basketball. And I think it's just because of how I grew up. That's just been my whole life since I was born. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. You've got so many different interests, between volleyball, basketball, football, track and field. So that's great. Yeah. All right. Final question is if there is a female athlete out there that you want to give a shout out to for just being a role model and inspiration, or what I like saying is being fierce, fit, and fueled, who would that be and why?
So I think that a lot of people are going to think this is a weird answer, but I always think that we should always be our own inspiration. We should always be our best friend and our biggest advocate. And so I'm going to shout out 6 months ago, Chari, because back then I had just not qualified for the Olympics and I really thought I was going to qualify. I missed the team and I was in a really, really, really rough spot. But every time I would feel like my sadness, my anxiety, my depression overcome me, I kept saying, I know me. I promise I'm going to continue to move forward and I'm going to continue to go. Even when I didn't want to, I just kept saying it. And, you think, I might not be here at all without it, but I definitely wouldn't be where I am mentally without that girl. So I appreciate you, Chari, in the past. And I promise that I will continue pushing forward even when things get tough.
I absolutely love that answer. And I think it just really shows so much about who you are as a person and how inspirational you can be to other people as well. When we can, thank ourselves during our best moments and our worst. And when we can, reflect about our past and have that be our motivation to keep moving forward. It's just really beautiful. So Chari, thank you so much for this amazing conversation, for your time today. I could probably talk to you for another 3 hours, but maybe we'll have you come back on the show another time. And you are absolutely a wonderful person to be inspired and to learn from. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I really hope you enjoyed that episode and thanks for listening. But before I let you go, I have free resources that you can have access to right away, right now, so that you can start fueling your body as a fierce, fit, and fueled female athlete. First, I have your Red S recovery race. If you've ever wondered if you might be struggling with Red S, curious to learn more, or know you have Red S and are looking to recover fast, then you can head to www.riseupnutritionrun.com/RedS and download the Red S Recovery Race. See how you place and figure out the next steps to recovery. Plus, while there, I have a few other great resources for you, including 3 nutrition secrets that every elite athlete swears by, and access to our private Facebook community, Female Athlete Nutrition. So again, to gain access to all of this, head to riseupnutritionrun.com/RedS. That's /REDS. And you can gain access and get the help you need fast. Too many girls and women and female athletes struggle with nutrition, but you don't have to any longer. Become fierce, fit, and fueled. Links in the show notes, and I'll see you next time.